Hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Philip Radokic. I'm a product manager and CM consultant here at CX Experts, and today we'll be continuing our short series that introduces you to the three basic modules of UPV WebServices. These modules will help you centralize your models, become independent from hardware or operating system requirements, and track issues, action points, and more. These three modules of UPV WebServices are the UPV browser, browser-based viewing, and WorkFlowSystem, or system for workflows. In today's sessions, we'll focus on the WorkFlowSystem and how it can simplify your daily work, streamline your daily workflows, save time, and reduce costs in your company. Please note that this session will be recorded, and we'll send you the link to the recording via email. During the webinar, feel free to use the GoToWebinar questions panel to state your questions, and I'll try to answer as many as possible after the session, after the live demo actually. If I'm unable to address your questions during the webinar, I'll respond to you via email after the webinar. Great. Now let's take a look at today's agenda. So first of all, we'll have again a short overview, introduction to UPV WebServices in general, then an introduction to WorkFlowSystem, and then a live demo covering, for example, the overview of the user interface, creating a ticket or workflow, the central repository for comments, markups, sketches, and similar, and the advanced collaboration features that WorkFlowSystem offers. So, first of all, about UPV WebServices, that's actually a comprehensive term encompassing all CX Expert services that rely on web browser applications, leveraging a stack of interconnected applications that eliminate the need for local installations from a certain degree. This approach allows for seamless accessibility and utilization of the services without any need for some specific hardware or software installation on the client side or the end user side. So in the first part of the webinar, we've covered the UPV browser, which is the enhanced successor to our folder browser, including a identity server and thus enabling you to really detailed grant or deny permissions by model and by membership of user groups. And it functions basically as a distribution server that enables you to seamlessly stream or download a model to your local UPV application. This means in this stage, you still need a local UPV on your device. Starting from browser-based viewing, which is the second module, building upon UPV browser, you can then watch your models completely in a browser and thus become independent of some operating system restrictions, and also eliminating the need for individual device setup or installation of software. The only requirement here to ensure smooth operation is really a rendering server equipped with a rather high-end graphics card, depending on the number of concurrent streams. And today's topic is the WorkFlowSystem, and that one excels in providing a centralized collaboration platform, for example, for design reviews, for maintenance issues, for work orders and similar, offering various features such as centralized commenting, markup, task assignments, task status tracking, and similar. So it enables efficient information exchange and facilitates discussion threads on issues within a broad team, and promoting that way streamlined workflows and enhanced teamwork. To have a look at it in our product pyramid, as many of you have already seen before, we have the adapters that are converting the model information from various sources. The builder then generates a UPV model that goes to the UPV application, and in the UPV application, from the builder. Also, different modules can be activated. But this yellow part of the pyramid here is all the UPV only environment. Building on top of that, we have the UPV browser as the distribution server. Again, building upon the UPV browser, we have the browser-based viewing technology. And as the tip of the pyramid, we have the WorkFlowSystem. And what it does exactly and how it can be used, I hope I will be able to show you today. So what are the challenges here? First of all, integrating additional information centrally for models. So information, for example, action points could easily be overlooked or missed depending on where they are located. For example, in a file system-based access with all its limitations. So what are the risks here? Time loss, searching for information, maybe missing out some information because it was placed in just a different folder, or the folder structures are not being kept or similar. Tracking status of action points. So what is the status of an action point taken? We have the risk of discrepancies due to distributed information. What is meant by that? Well, these action point lists sometimes are held in Excel spreadsheets or Access databases. Maybe some comments to it, maybe discussions have been made in design reviews and scanned and placed again in the folder structure. So it's a very incoherent data structure that most companies have to struggle with. And the challenge in the end is how to actually discuss these issues and action points in a wider team. Decentral communication can lead to information loss. Okay, where did we actually discuss about certain action points? Was it in a meeting? Was it by email? Was it on some type of internal communication channel? And it proved to be real hard for companies to keep track of all comments in a central place and also discussions. So what is our solution here? First of all, a central place for project relevant information. The fact is fully integrate your action points with your 3D model. Second, you have a database organized data structure. So easy permission management, clean structures, and it's easy to find the information you need, especially since you can see all information in a grid. So you can see the status of action points directly and even report on them. We'll have a look at that a bit later today too. And you can use collaboration features such as discussion threads, file uploads, etc. So that speeds up all processes and streamlines the workflows in your teams, enhancing the communication and making it far more traceable and reproducible. So even if a year in the future you want to have a look at what was discussed, you can always find the history in the workflow system. So what does this look like in a live environment? So let's have a look at the UPV browser first. So here we already have the step 1 and 2 of the UPV Web Services active, and that's first of all the UPV browser with a preview of the models. If you need some additional information about that, you can also look at the links of the previous webinars where we've described the different features. And you can see you can open it in browser. So that's the browser-based viewing part, or open locally or download to your local UPV, which is the pure UPV browser. Additionally, now we have the workflows. So it all starts with, in this case, empty grid. So what can we do with it? First of all, let's just go ahead and create a work order, for example. So I add a workflow. I pick a name for that. So for work order, I'll just take WO-0001. planned project. So I'm allowed to view two different projects. So I'll take full demo planned and it's assigned to me. The workflow type would be work order, and the stakeholders are anyone belonging to the group webinars. Status new. Let's just pick area, PNID, discipline. Since I'm a piper, I'll take piping. Set a due date for, let's say, end of next week. Now I can save this. And when I go into workflows, I can now see, okay, planned project, full demo planned, name, assigned to stakeholders, workflow type, status, and the properties shown here. But let me actually create a workflow for design review. So I'll call it DR for design review and 0001 planned project again, full demo planned assigned to me. So these fields up here, they're always the same except for the workflow type, but depending on the workflow type I select, the properties change. So you see, I have here order, area, PNID, discipline, due date, and note for change request, but for malfunction report, I have status, severity, area, PNID, and discipline. For design review, I'll just have a status and discipline. So I'll pick piping again and save. But perhaps I actually want to do something in 3D with it. So how do I connect here? Since it's predefined where my WorkFlowSystem project looks to the 3D model, to which a 3D model connects. So I'll just click on Show 3D Model once my ticket is saved. And you see that besides this models tree, that's the default tree for my model, also have another tree here that carries the name of my workflow, in this case DR 0001. So in this case, I want to actually add a sketch. So now this part of the screen is a bit small. I can maximize the screen. It will automatically adapt to meet full width, and now I can work with it like in a local UPV installation, only no installation required. And let's say I want to start piping here and creating some type of valve station here with a bypass. Okay, probably a bit too close. Get an error because I was too close to the elbow. Okay, great. Now let me put a valve in here and dock this back in. Center on this, and now add a comment here. What do you think about this design? And hitting save. So now several things are happening at once. First of all, the screenshot is saved in the ticket along with all the settings for the 3D model. So when I click on this here, I can actually see a preview and it will show me a screenshot of what I just did, along with my comment, what do you think about this design? Now I can close this. Let me just check under administration permissions if the group webinars has access to this workflow, and full demo planned webinars is allowed to view. Great. So I can go back to my workflow and go, and again, you see an eye here showing me also the preview in this grid view in this list. I can open this and say, okay, I want to assign this now to the webinar user. Save, going into the workflows, and I now see it's assigned to webinar user. Let me log out. Log back in as a different user. And this is webinar at universalplanview.com. So now being a different user, I see, okay, this is assigned to me. Go in here and, okay, I don't want to look actually at the screenshot. I want to see the sketch live. So all I have to do is open the ticket, and you see automatically it opens up again with a separate tree and with a sketch saved from a different user. And now I could say, okay, I would actually prefer to move this a bit over here, move this a bit over here, and then rotate it a bit to make it better accessible. And say I'd prefer the valves turned a bit sideways. And again, hit save. So in this case, now see also the comment that I changed, the screenshot, and the different versions. We can still download the older versions, older sketches as UPVF files and load them back into the model if we want to restore older versions. But this way we have a history of how two people work together on one project, and now I'll assign it back to me. Hit save and close, and now log in as a different user. Instead of an email and a password, I'll use a federation login here now. And you see I've been logged in with my name, and have again an overview of the according details here. So stakeholders, I didn't actually pick webinars here, save and close. So that's been done. Let me add another workflow. And again, a design review, and I'll call it the R002. And planned project will be again full demo plan assigned to me. So all as usual, discipline piping, save. And as soon as I save, I get the button show 3D model. And here I won't actually bother to spread it out over the whole screen, but I'll just create a markup. Move this a bit to the side and say, okay, I want a markup of the station, and just say, okay, check for alpha leakage for space requirements, for example. Hit save. Close everything, close here, and now we have multiple issues here. So for the work order, I can still go in here, and even though we did not actually enter anything but the basic data, I could also just enter here, and for example, go to my WO 0001 and hold on, maybe mark this one here and add a comment. For example, check for leakage. Then save my comment. So for comments, we're not saving a preview image, but it's still be saved in this workflow. And now I can directly assign it to the webinar user. Again, close this, save and close. Log in as a different user. Click on workflows and now see what's assigned to me. This here. What does it say? Let me see the 3D model. Oh yeah, check for leakage. Tested, no leakage detected, and changing the status to finished. Close, close, logging back in. Again, with my account. And when I go to the workflows, now I have actually the option to see, okay, select all except for finished. So what I'm left with right now is only design reviews. So let's actually also filter here for design reviews only. And since all this other information is coming from different workflow types, so I can actually go in and say, okay, I don't need area, I don't need PID, due date, I'll leave, I don't need note. And this way I have actually stripped down all these information here to what I need. Great, so let me also turn off ID because I don't really need that one. And I can also change the order, the width of the columns. Why am I doing all of this? Basically because I can now take status and move it over here directly next to the name and save. So here I can then name it and say design review FR, and that's a saved view for me. So even if I reset the view to see everything, I can go to load, and now you see I have a saved grid state design review FR, and it will actually get me back to the grid settings I had here. That's my personal settings. The administrator can also define views that users can choose from this list. So I have no predefined views here, but the admin could set those. Why is this interesting? Well, because I can just click here, save it away as an Excel file, and open this for either importing, exporting, or using it for other purposes, but I have a total overview of my open points here. Or basically anything that I have filtered in the grid. This is also too easy to report on the status of things. So some of you might ask, what options do we have? What templates do we have for workflows? Well, you can adapt those completely individually. You have change request, internal rework, work order, malfunction report, design review. But with a very simple descriptive XML language, you can create templates of your own. And the properties we've seen in the workflow are freely definable. So everything under properties, the only fixed defined fields we have are the ones on top describing the ticket. Everything else is due to your requirements, be it code lists, creating plans or projects within plans. That's easily done all from the UI. And here with the OData expressions, you can also create predefined views. That's the ones that I mentioned earlier for the grid state. So administrative things like users, user groups, permissions, you can watch in the previous two webinars where I've went into the details of these. For the workflow system, you can individually, by plant, you have defined individual rights and properties here. In this case, for example, for S3D demo plant, public user has full read, so everybody can read the ticket but cannot add any comment. And the experts, groups members, webinars group members, and piping task force group members would have a read-write permission easily added. For example, saying, okay, one model will only have limited read, which means they can only see the grid, but not open the ticket themselves. And I can also easily remove the permissions here. So easy to manage, easy to maintain, easy to work with, and keep information centrally available. By the way, we can also add documents. So in this case, probably wouldn't make any sense, but let me just take one of the files I downloaded just for demonstration purposes. I can either drag and drop files or just go here and say, okay, oh, I don't know, I'll just take this download2.upv, add it as a document, and add a comment to it. So I can also add notes, PDFs, further information to the task, to the action point, to the workflow at hand. Well, so let me close this without saving. This was really a quick overview of the functionalities of the workflow system. There might be a lot more things, but unfortunately we're a bit short in time. So if you have any further questions, let me know. And that's actually a good point here. Let's come to the Q&A. What are the hardware requirements, especially for client-server environments? Well, for just the pure UPV browser, the client needs to have a local UPV installation, which is available on iOS, Android, and Windows. Starting from browser-based viewing including browser-based viewing and WorkFlowSystem, the client basically just needs an HTML5 enabled browser. And other than that, you can run it on iOS, Android, macOS, Windows, Linux. We've even managed to run browser-based viewing on operating systems like a Tesla Model Y center screen, or we had a colleague that even made it run on a Steam Deck. So basically, the limitations are non-existing as long as you have a contemporary browser. For the server, again, you need a web server, and when browser-based viewing comes into play, and WorkFlowSystem and SQL Server, definitely for the database, and a good server, meaning a good graphics card, CPU. When it comes to the specific requirements, this highly depends on the type of models you're using and on the number of concurrent streams you intend to run on that system. In this case, feel free to contact us and we'll do our best to give you really hardware recommendations that fit your use case best. Can the system be integrated in existing infrastructures? Basically, yes. We have actually two APIs allowing this. So we have one API for the UPV WebServices themselves. This means you have an API for the user management, for the model management, also for the ticketing system, the workflow system. And there's a second API for UPV itself. This means that all UPV functions that support API calls like highlighting, selecting, colorizing, and similar are available through an API call and also through API callbacks. This means that, for example, if a selection change is made or a custom attribute change has been detected, that the API can also report out of UPV to an external software, for example, trigger actions there. So basically, integration is one of the main points that UPV offers here. But I see I've already exceeded my time again for today. I hope I was able to give you a good overview of the workflow system. And in case you're interested in a more specific setup or more specific details regarding your own configuration and integration, feel free to contact us and we'll have a separate meeting and discuss the details that are specific for you. As I said, unfortunately, our time's over for today. Thanks for your attention. Questions that I might have not been able to answer during the webinar, I'll answer subsequently by email. And for further information, feel free to contact us under the given email addresses or through your regional sales representative. Thanks again. You have a great day and looking forward to talking to you soon. Goodbye.